Hi, beautiful people. This is your favorite show, Youth Diaries, and today I'm having amazing guests, amazing young people from Kakamega County. We'll be talking about mental health in relation to men. Remember, it is June and it is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So, to our guests, karibuni sana. Maybe if we can start by introducing ourselves.
Or ladies first. Hi, my name is Atema Leche. You can also call me Claire. I'm hoping that we're going to have an amazing show. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Conrad Kea, a resident of Kakamega County, and I'm glad that you are speaking about men's mental health. I'm glad to be in the conversation.
Okay, so maybe if I can start with you, Claire, what do you understand by mental health?
Mental health, it's like the mental well-being. You can either be okay or not be okay.
Yeah.
So that's what we mean when we're talking about mental health. Yeah.
And to you, Conrad.
Okay, I think mental health is very wide. We can't define it in few words, but in a layman's language, it is the state of getting away from stress, getting away from anxiety, and getting away from issues that can affect your mind. Yeah, I think that basically that is what I can say about mental health.
And do you think men face mental health problems?
I think men face mental health problems more than any other being.
Okay.
And they are the most affected to, according to me, mental health, and it happens every time. Every one of us has issues with mental health, and in one or the other, we have suffered mental health. Both known, some men know it, others don't know that they are actually suffering.
Okay. And why would you say men face mental health problems more than any other human being?
I think research has it that, and study shows that men are the most of the people who are exposed to risks that affect life, be it accidents, be it drug abuse. Like men have more exposure. The exposure is more compared to women, and I think that is the reason why I would say, because those are some of the issues that contribute to mental health, then more men suffer from mental health compared to women.
Okay. Claire, do you think when men are facing these problems, do they tend to seek for help, or they just keep it to themselves?
First, I wouldn't say there's a record that men face more mental health issues because they mostly tend to focus, like the expertise and the organizations, charity organizations dealing with mental health issues, they most of the times focus on women. Then they forget the men. So we have been living a lie that they do not record. They do not record that men face mental issues. You are a man. You should deal with everything that comes your way as a man. What was your question?
Do they tend to ask for help, or they just
Men don't ask for help, especially in the traditional setting. That is how they have been brought up. They do not ask for help. If you're having an issue, you deal with it as a man. You do not ask for help. Men are not supposed to be seen crying in public. Men should not ask for hugs when they feel like they need hugs. You know, because again, some people will say this is harassment. Men do not ask for hugs. Men cannot cry. Men cannot express. They cannot express their emotions because even you as a woman, I'm not talking about me. Most women, when they listen, like when your man is telling you that I'm having an issue, and then they feel it feels like they are complaining. The first thing a woman will say is, "You are a man. You can deal with it."
Yes.
We need to raise awareness whereby if you have a male friend and they're talking to you about their issues, sometimes they just want someone to listen to them, not do much. They just want you to listen to them, just sit there and listen. But hey, women, we have a weakness. We must talk. We must say something. So we need to recognize that sometimes men just want someone to listen to them. And if we give space for men to know that you can be listened to, there's someone to listen to, they'll start coming out if they know that they can find help. But why would anyone want to come out when they will not find help? When instead of help, they'll just be caused more pain.
Yes, sure.
You wouldn't want to ask for help where you cannot get it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe a personal question. Do you ask for help when you need help?
Personally, I think that time, of course, you have to distinguish between which help do you really want as a man, and sometimes you have issues, especially through you see finances. These are some issues that can cause mental health issues to do with maybe you have things to do academic work. Some other issues that can also maybe you have personal issues that you want. Personally, I am not that person who speaks too much about mental health, but of course, I have friends that I can trust with some of my issues. Because the most important issue about actually talking out to someone is you need to talk to someone you really trust.
Yes.
Mhm.
And as men, that is our biggest problem. Whom do you trust? We don't trust our fellow men with our problems, and neither will you trust a woman with your problems. So it is so difficult. It leaves you in a situation where you have to deal with it personally as a person, and you might not want to share because, of course, when it gets out there, you are afraid. If something you that really affects you gets out there, you might be affected in one or the other, and the rumor might put you down. You see, you are this kind of a man who have, out there, you seem like have it all, you have it all covered, and then there is something that is stressing you out, and you have to say to someone whom you don't trust. I think that is the big problem. But personally, sometimes.
So I have a question. You see, there was a time I was interacting with my male friends, and they were saying that you cannot open up to your fellow man. Like you cannot go to him. Maybe something is stressing you, and then you are crying. You are just pouring your heart out to him.
What
Like
the?
it is awkward. They were saying it is awkward. Like
How are
how
you?
will you start crying in front of a
I mean,
fellow
why are
man?
you crying, first of all, as a man? Why are you crying? That is where the
What
problem
do
is.
men do in boys' club?
I mean, we talk about a lot of bullshit. Football, we talk
Yes,
about,
exactly.
talk
So he
about
was telling me, like, you guys talk about politics, football, anything affecting the country, but not emotional issues.
but you can't say it like that is I think that is how we have been created as men. We are not so much emotional beings. Like we do not want to express our emotions more. So most of the time we put on a blanket, and any feelings, whether it is happiness, whether it is whether it is love, we try to put on a blanket. And when we are hit with a problem that might affect our mental health, of course, we might try to cover it up. With time, we think we want. With time, we might get away with it, and having conversations is also something that we also having quality conversations is something that we don't tend to have as men. And it is because, as I said earlier, it's because you see, the setting is when you meet fellow men, talk about real issues. I mean, talk about important issues, and it is all over. In even on social media, you have seen instances where people will come up with posts talking about if your man cannot talk about the war in Ukraine. You see such things.
Yeah,
So we are expected to only speak about very serious issues like the war in Ukraine. We are Haiti. We need to speak about William Ruto and Kashagwa. We need to speak about very important issues, but we neglect the small issues that really affect us.
And you understand the small issues build up to something bigger later.
Exactly. I know when you meet your fellow girlfriend, you will want to discuss how are you doing, how is home, if you have children, how are they. But with men, we never start our conversation on that line. We'd never go further and interrogate. How are you doing? How is home? How is the children? How is the mom? You see, we don't ask such questions because we think they are not very important questions. But we'll ask, how is your business doing? You see, such thing. How you see? Have you heard about this? Have you heard about the big business, the big story, the big political, something like that? So
Football.
yeah, exactly. Have you heard about the new signing Manchester United is having?
Arsenal is winning the league.
I don't know. So something like that. So maybe we also need to change the way we start conversations as men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Claire, do you think women can play a part in making sure that men are taking good care of their mental health?
First, before I come back to your question, I think men can talk. Men can talk if they want to, and men are emotional beings if they want to.
Yes.
If a man wants you, they get all emotional. They call you, you're beautiful as a flower, you're my angel. What is that? They're emotional beings, right?
Sometimes
If a
it's
man
not
wants
true.
you,
Sometimes not true.
you lie.
Yeah,
You're admitting men lie.
sometimes it is not true that you are that
So
beautiful.
you're saying that you people lie to us.
No, like what I'm saying is, always, if I want you as a man, I will have to do something to get your attention. And so if telling you you're beautiful is what can make you be mine, then I can just say it without without blinking an eye.
That means men have a choice.
Yeah.
They can decide to talk when they're having mental issues.
Yeah.
They can talk. The issue is who to trust, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'm like, if you can sit with your fellow boys in a bar from 8 to 3 in the morning,
Yes.
and you cannot talk about your issues, why are you there? You can drink together, you trust them that they cannot poison you. You trust them with your health, right? Why can't, like, you can also trust them with your mental health. If you're having issues with your wife at home, you can talk to them about it, because men are men's biggest support system,
True.
right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes.
Very true.
And that is how it should be. Men need to support each other. You see, the way, if I'm having an issue with my boyfriend or with a male person in my life, I will call my sister, I will call my mom, aki mom unajua, and then I will start ranting. And in the process of ranting and just expressing myself, I begin to feel better. You should also try it sometimes.
But of course, you're right. You see how we express issues when you are with boys and you have issues, say at home, and hey, mama ako na shida, mama ameleta noma kidogo. You see, those are the problem. Wasichana
Wanakuwaga hivyo.
Yeah, usijali, itakuwa tu poa. That is a conversation that has lasted like not more than 1 minute.
But you see, I'm failing to understand why you are saying you don't trust this man. But again, when you're having something, not mentally, like for instance, you know she's your wife and then you're cheating, your friend can know that and they will keep that secret. Men can never say the truth. So tell me why you can trust someone with such information, but you cannot trust them when it comes to opening up.
Yeah, you see, I think men, I think as she said, we are the biggest, like we support each other so much, even in finances. Like men can come in, can really come in, like
Yeah.
for you if you have a problem.
Yes.
But the only problem is the patience to actually listen to very deep conversations.
Oh.
Patience, just sitting down, not talking about the other issues, just talking about like you just giving yourself out to them and trying to express yourself. And I mean, you can do that once in a while, but of course, I cannot listen to you like twice, thrice,
Yeah.
complaining about the same thing. You see, we will get tired of pia stories zako
Utaanza
Hey.
feel as will you keep whining about
Exactly.
something every time?
Yes, we want to deal with, we want solutions. We want to, when we talk about something, we are getting a solution right away. And so some of the solutions cannot get them instantly. And like mental health, if you are having a problem, like you cannot solve it instantly. You do not expect I have a problem.
Yeah.
And I have to solve it like there and then, so that when I meet you next time, I cannot raise it. And maybe going forward, we can just talk to men so that they can be able to hold this very important conversation. Very
And they
critical
should also
conversation.
seek therapy.
Exactly. Yeah. That
Ego.
is very, very important. That is very important. And you see, seeking therapy also means you have someone really trust as a therapist. Like me going to maybe CGH to seek help from a doctor is someone I should also be actually really trust, in a position to trust, in a position to, because all the problems we have is a matter of trust. Like I can't share with you because I mean I can get it out there and it might not be a good thing.
Okay. Back to my question. Do you think women can help?
Yes, they should. They should actually help, because women take in a lot. Women are very strong beings. Women can take in a lot of things. They can be of help but you see, someone cannot be listening to you if you're not treating them right.
Yes.
So the problem begins at home. How are you treating that human? You want that human to listen to you, you have to also treat them right. So women can help. They can help by making you nice meals. Women can help. You love nice meals, right? Yeah. Women can help by listening to you. You see, they can be all out there. And in bringing up children, especially right now that we have a whole lot of single mothers.
Yes.
And they're raising boys, they're raising men. How are they raising them? We do not again want to have a generation like right now they are calling those teenagers Cerelac babies, because they're Gen Z men or boys are people who want to express themselves. They want to get drunk and cry. And now the millennials are calling that weak. They're saying this is a generation of weak men. When these ones, they're just trying to embrace, like, you see, if I'm not okay, I just want to be free and come out and say that I am not okay. But millennials, they're calling them Cerelac babies, Weetabix, weaklings. Women can help. I understand that when raising a boy, you also need that masculine structure. You need that male person. You need a man there to be giving direction, even if it's the grandfather, the uncle, the village elder, the church. Men need to come out and support these young boys. They need to come out and support them. Leaving that responsibility to women alone we are going to have chaos in front here. In future, we're going to have chaos, because when you're raising a child that does not see a boy that does not see any masculine thing around them, they don't know how to be men. They're only around women. That is their surrounding. They only know how to be a woman. They do not know anything to do with men. Am I lying?
You're lying, because
But don't you think that is good?
I don't think that.
No, it is not good.
Knowing that they should open up. If I have a problem, I need to speak out. If something is bothering me, I need to speak out.
Let me give you a personal experience. I was raised by my mom, and because we lost our father when I was very small, when I was a very small baby. So I think like being raised by a woman does not like it will not make you less of a man when you grow up. You just need to be raised well, wherever you are being raised with.
No, I'm talking about the current mothers. I was also raised by a single mother, and I have two brothers.
Are they not doing well?
They are doing well, and that is because they apart from being in the family setting, apart from being in the family structure, they also had other male people to look up to. Like, for example, when he's playing football, he can have his coach mentor him, tell him, do this,
Yeah, I get your point.
Yes. I also understand that you being raised by your mom does not mean that you did not have like uncles or big cousins to talk to, right? You had elder male cousins you can talk to. That is what I'm talking about. We need to encourage that. The current family structure, we have teared the family fabric. The current family structure dictates that if you're my child alone. No other person can correct you. You cannot talk to any other person.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about, that we need to bring back that traditional concept that your uncle can also guide you, your grandfather can also guide you. If you're having a problem and your father is not around, you can also talk to your grandfather. There are male issues you cannot talk to your mom about.
Yeah, very true.
Right?
Yeah.
For example, if there's a boy that is maybe having an infection and they do not understand things that men can also get infections, leave alone the sexually transmitted infections. There are also those infections when you get maybe UTI,
Yep.
A man cannot go to his mother and say, hey mom, unajua ni kama hapa chini, hapa kwa kasusu ni kama nasikia mimi ni mgonjwa. You see?
Yeah, I agree.
And that is something that can kill a boy. He won't talk about it. He'll never talk about it because he's being raised by the mother, or they're just female people around, and he's feeling shy that I cannot talk to this person about this. We need to encourage boys and men to just speak out. If you cannot trust your mother, if you cannot trust your aunt, if you cannot trust your sister, you can trust your uncle, you can talk to your cousins, you can talk to your male friends, you can talk to your male colleagues. At least talk. If you don't speak out, you'll not find help. No one is going to know this is what you're going through. No one is going to know this is what you're feeling unless you talk.
I think let me also try and answer the question you asked, whether women can actually play a role in helping men like deal with mental issues.
Yes.
I think she has brought the point out very clearly how we need to trust other men with our problems, and also having people we can actually go to when we have problems. But why will I not trust my mother with a problem? That is the big question. Like, you need to ask yourself, why should I, if even I'm suffering from the worst disease ever, like STD, the worst that I'm suffering from, why should I not trust my mother with it? If that is the only, that is the, like, that is the person who is the closest.
I think sometimes it's just an ego thing or just shame.
Exactly. It is because maybe the societal expectations, especially when you have been initiated, do not expect you to be going back to your mother for help.
Yes, sure.
And this is my answer to that question. That women play the biggest role in men's like health. Like the big, when you like, I can assure you, and you can do a research. The people men talk to most are women. Just take any man's phone and just scroll through. You'll get that they are talking to their sisters, or they are talking to their girlfriends.
Yeah.
They are talking to their friends because they feel more comfortable. Most men feel more comfortable talking to women. And the longest call a man can ever have with another person must be to a woman. You cannot have a call to a boyfriend for 30 minutes. What are you discussing? But you can.
You can be planning the future, talking about
Most men
election.
call women and talk to women for more than 1 hour, 2 hours. And all of you can agree because you're here and you know that you can be called by a man for more than 1 hour.
Yes.
But within that 1 hour, you have not realized that this guy is not okay. If you haven't realized in an hour's time, like in an hour's call, that this guy does not seem to be okay, to interrogate further, to actually get to know how they are feeling. So the people men talk to much and most is women. The people men meet most, like if they want to have conversations, I am very sure is women. Even men who are in their, have small girlfriends, and that is the trend, whom they share to the problems. But rarely do women actually talk to men about their problems. But so I think the problem starts back at home. Let us just start raising men and letting them be in a space where they can be able to say what they can say without being judged.
Yes.
As a mother, how are you raising a son? Are you giving him the space? He can come back home. He had issues in school, and you can address it in a way that it makes him feel better instead of trying to tell him, you see, you are a man.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Why are you so, like, I had a story, I heard of a story. Someone told me that the son came back home and she had been hurt because he was playing football. The boy had been playing football in school, so he hurt his leg. So when he came back home and he told mom, I have hurt my leg because I was playing football, and the mom said, you see, if you can't be a man enough to play football with other fellow men, go and play chess.
Wow.
Yes. So eventually the boy took it up, and of course he's a good chess player right now. But you see, that is something that has already, how does it affect the boy?
Yeah, it was already planted
Exactly.
in him when he was still a young boy. So right now he thinks he's weak because he's playing chess.
Yeah.
So that is the big question. The comments you make to children, and whoever you meet on the way, on the street, you as a person, how do you talk to your brothers at home, back at home? How do you talk to them? How do you talk to even your brothers who are older than you? Do you give them that space where they can pour their hearts to you, or do you always want to, because every time you're calling your big brother to just request for money or request for something, have you ever asked them how they are feeling?
Yeah.
When you call your boyfriend, do you actually have a conversation on how do they feel about today? How do they feel? Like, I mean, how when you greet them, and then can you interrogate further to understand how they are feeling, what they are thinking? Because most people have suicidal talks. You've heard of scenarios where people have been sitting together and then another person went to commit suicide.
Yeah.
Because you never interrogate further to actually understand how they are feeling. And men are the people who, who get into these situations most of the time.
Now, you see, the problem is generally with mental health, people who suffer from those issues, don't show it. Like you can't meet someone and you just say she's looking sad, she's going through someone. They are the happiest, the jovial. They walk in
Exactly.
this door, through this door, and you just feel their presence. So you cannot tell because they're always hiding it.
Yeah, I think that is true. And of course, when everyone handles something in their lives, everyone, and there's something that is actually disturbing someone at one point. So if you are a person, I will talk about men. If you are a man who knows how to handle, how to balance life, it might not hit you so hard.
Yeah.
You can be able to, to maneuver within. But of course, there are things that cannot, you cannot handle them for a very long time. Of course, they will put you down at one point. So yeah, we need to stop assuming that everyone who is happy is not having issues, and we the social media has tried to help us to cover up all this shit. So you can see people just having fun, people are happy, posting good pictures and good photos on Instagram, on Facebook, but back at home they're handling a lot of issues.
Okay, you have to
Yeah.
say something.
It all scales down to how men have been programmed. Men have been programmed to be stoic. They cannot break. You should not break, you're a man. So it all just narrows down to their traditional settings, how they have been programmed. And then that kind of programming just kind of boosts their ego. But I think if men want to talk, they can just talk. And also, just like men, just like men, women are also human beings. You could be talking to someone, they are just giving you their positive side, and you won't even sense that they are going through something or they are sad. So if you really need help, you just have to talk. You have to say it. You have to speak it out that I need help. I understand that men have a lot of trust issues. How do I begin? How do I begin confessing that I need help? But if you really need help, if you desire to be helped, you just have to talk about it. Or find something that helps you relax. Find a hobby. Go to the gym. If it's singing, find something that helps you relax. Find something that you can channel that all energy to. If you cannot speak, I am sure there is something you can do. If you cannot speak, maybe you can write, right? You can write down your emotions. You can sing. You can play with the babies. You can find a hobby. You can go to the gym. You can pray. There are a lot of therapies. There is something you can do. You can stroll, you can go camping somewhere. And then I understand that there are also women who do that. There are men who, when they are going through something, they just want to be left alone.
Yeah, sure.
Those are the most dangerous men. They're very dangerous people. Those ones that want to be left alone. Because you see, being left alone is not solving that problem. You'll be okay for some time, but you're just building up that whatever it is. Whether they are emotions, whether it's grief, whatever it is, you're just piling it up. You need to talk.
Yeah, I think that is the message, and I think we need to start finding solutions on how men can talk. How can we encourage men to talk? Because
Yes.
eventually, that is the biggest solution to mental issues when people are going through issues. How do we now provide a platform where men can be able to express themselves and say, "Hey, you see, I'm going through this.
Yeah.
I need help. I need help." And they can be able to do it in a manner that will not judge them, like
Yes.
to an environment where they will not feel judged,
Mhm.
an environment where they not feel like it might come back to bite them later.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, most men are normally very vulnerable. I think emotions make men very vulnerable, any emotion, and I think that is, I don't know, I think that is naturally men are more vulnerable in emotions compared to women, but women try to express more compared to men. We try to hide it. So while it is not the best thing, so let us just be able to also show emotion. Sometimes we might not be able to speak out, but someone can just notice you are not doing
You're
okay.
not okay.
Yeah, I mean, you might not be speaking, If you met a woman who has been slapped out there, they'll be crying.
You'll know.
Yeah, or a woman who has been thrown out.
Exactly. And you, without even them speaking, you can
You know.
notice this is not the person I know.
Yes,
So let us also try and be showing our emotions so that you don't have to be very okay, like, and when you're suffering. So
and as they show their emotions, please don't call them weak.
yes, the one.
Don't call them Cyrillac babies.
And also include men's mental health in your men's conference agenda.
Exactly.
Like, what do you guys talk about?
We talk about serious issues.
Going to war.
You talk
And
about
politics.
how to
Exactly.
ignore women, other issues, and you forget
And they
your
want
mental-
us to help them.
How will we help you?
No,
How to be strong.
eventually, no man will ignore any woman in this world. You cannot stay.
Are you admitting that you lie to each other in those
Yeah,
conferences?
exactly. We like to each other. Even our chairman told us he's going to marry two or three
wives.
women.
No,
And
no,
then
in
he
one
married
wedding
one.
And then he
ceremony.
married one. Now is another issue. You lie to each other, and then when you go back home, you do something different.
But we need to also ask ourselves the biggest question is, why are men more affected? I think it is because of the pressure, the societal pressure, the life pressure. You have programmed men, the way she said. I mean, you need to have this by when you are 30, you need to have this when you are 50,
Yeah.
you need to have this when you are 20. In your 20s, this is how you need to behave. So if you are not behaving that way, or if you do not have that thing that the society put as success, that is the biggest question. But you see, naturally, if you cannot help your parents and you're a man, that still come back to you and it will try to hurt you. Now, how do you get support, like within when you're trying to handle all that life, trying to put life together? That is now also, that is what people need to help. Women, especially those women who are in those people's lives, those men's lives,
Yeah.
starting from family, sisters, brothers, because the society does not expect maybe a woman to own land like a lawyer, but it expects a man, you should be having some land.
Yeah.
So if you do not have, it means when you're starting
You're
a
not a
family,
man.
yeah, the society will not see value in you. Yeah, you see, yeah, that is normal. So, and we have also life pressure. People are trying to compete. Someone wants to be like their friends. Someone wants to be like their colleagues at work, and that is the biggest problem. Yeah.
I also, we need to understand that as women, when we are handling men or boys, we need to understand that that is also somebody's son. They're also children. It's someone's child.
Oh, I
You
saw
see the
somewhere
way.
men were saying that it is their era of living soft life.
Mhm.
I mean, my soft life era.
Yes, you see the way you'd be slapped and then you say, I'm someone's child. Why are you beating up? It is the same way you should reason when you are howling abuses at that man, when you're abusing him, calling him weak. You should also, at the back of your mind, it should stick that this is also someone's child. Men have emotions. They're human beings. They're not built of metal. They also have hearts. They have blood pumping in them. They are human beings. It's just that they are men. We need to treat them like human beings. From when they are children, stop telling your young son you are a man and being harsh at them until when they fail. Do not cry, you are a man. Let them express their emotions. That is when they learn. From when they're still young. That is when they learn that I can express my emotions. Mambo ya kusema ati, I am a man. I cannot cry. I am a man. I cannot do that. No, let us teach them that expressing yourself, seeking help is not being weak.
Embracing a fellow man.
It's
Because they always
hugging.
have an issue.
I have
You hear a man saying, mimi ni hug
unihug,
mwanaume.
unishike.
Heri nishike
Mi huwezi
sufuri ya
nishika.
moto.
But you see,
No,
we cannot.
that is something you need to change. Like, you can just
we cannot
come on,
program.
you can just
We cannot
hug.
program issues. How to deal with mental health the way, like physically, the way women handle that. We might have, we might have different issues. Maybe we love swimming as men. We don't love hugging. We love other issues. But how do you try to solve, to help within their own, in their own way, instead of forcing me to hug a
Why
fellow man?
can't
We are
you
not
hug a
forcing
fellow
you.
man?
We
Why
are not
can't you
forcing
hug?
you. We are just saying it starts from the mind.
Yes. Why
I mean,
can't you
Okay,
hug?
why can't you hug a man?
my goodness. That is okay. It is even
It is gay.
unman of me to even think about how to answer that question. It is unman of me because the thing of hugging a fellow man. We do hug a fellow man.
Yeah.
Where you've seen football players when they are celebrating, they hug fellow men like so passionately.
When it's emotional,
Yes,
that
when it
is
is
where the
emotional,
problem
yes,
is.
exactly. When you have won something, when you men will hug passionately,
But
but
I'm saying, like, for instance, you are feeling low and you just need to hug someone,
You cannot hug a man.
and you're with your best friend who is a man.
oh my goodness, so I need to go and hug a friend
Yes.
Who is
and
a
I'll
man?
feel better.
Yes.
I don't think that is the remedy. Personally, I don't think if I went to hug a fellow man because I was feeling like I wasn't feeling nice. And I see, I have heard all that kind of, conversation that women can just go and just get a hug and they'll feel better.
Better,
Yeah, you know,
exactly.
and sometimes you don't even have to say what you're going through. You just hug someone for like a minute,
And you're
and you feel
okay.
better. You feel
But-
relieved.
But you need to ask yourself, but men are very easy to hug women.
Yeah.
So if we have many women out here who are really willing
To
give
hug.
hugs
That is the
to, yeah,
solution.
to men, it will be and a
Really?
passionate hug for more than 3 minutes. That can be if a hug is actually supposed it actually helps
Mm.
to solve.
Women should be willing to
I
give
think
hugs.
why even scientists
No,
trying to look for medicine, if we can just be having, we can even have, we can even have
You can just
women who
hug
have been
women.
given that job
Who are
just-
standing on the road
just give hugs.
just to give hugs.
But you also need to ask yourself one question: who are the biggest victims of men's mental issues, mental health? When we have a problem, when a man has mental health, the biggest victims are women.
Women.
Yes.
That is what leads to gender-based violence.
Yes.
Yes, that is also what it leads to. Of course, if I am a man and I am affected, it might end up getting to any women closer to me, whether they are my mother, whether they are my wife, whether they are my girlfriend, whether they are my sisters. Most of the time, it ends up somewhere because
Yeah.
that is where we direct our energy.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think to solve some of the issues, some pertinent issues like gender-based violence,
Mhm.
just dealing with mental health can actually
Help.
help
Yeah.
in trying to curb these issues even by half.
Yes.
Because most of the time, these issues that arise because you see a man has taken a panga, running do you think that is a crazy person, isn't it? That is something that, so that is not something you can just do in your good
And
state of
another
mind.
thing, when someone is going through something, maybe a mental health problem, they resort to using drugs or alcohol to escape. But you see, they're not escaping. They might get addicted, but it is not curing the problem.
Yeah.
It is just adding more problems to
Mhm.
it.
That is very true. And I think, of course, the biggest problem, the biggest causes of mental health is stress. And stress, of course, has other external issues, and drugs is also one of them. And drugs can also help you, can make you stressed. And they can also make you feel like you are in a zone where you are not feeling, you're just feeling okay.
You're numb.
You're numb and you don't have these problems anymore. But of course, that is very.
Then when you get
temporal.
back to your senses, they come back.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And of course, that is not the best way. We try to talk to young men to not to resort to using drugs every time they feel like they are not okay, because eventually you'll get addicted, and when you get addicted, it is even more far. It even gets you in a deeper hole
Yeah.
than the one you are. So I think we need to start talking about all the issues around mental health. We need to start addressing the issues of drug abuse. We need to start addressing the issues of having a conducive environment for our conversation with men. We need to cultural stereotypes that have made men feel like they cannot talk,
Mhm.
they cannot be able to express themselves. They can, if they talk, they cannot cry. If it is even expected that when you lose someone as a man, you don't even need to have to cry.
Yeah, until you cry, your tears go to the stomach. They are not supposed to come out.
What is that?
Exactly. And you see, you can, if you suppress such emotions, eventually they will come back to bite you.
Someday.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that is what the conversation needs to start having. How do we deal with this? Because we've had this conversation of men having issues, not having the stereotypes, the cultural practices. We need to
Mhm.
start getting to solutions because we've lost men. we've lost men in every hour. I think there's a man who is trying to battle depression somewhere, trying to having suicidal thoughts, others committing suicide, and I think that it is time to start addressing the real issue.
Also,
Yes.
If we want to support men, it is what? It is a duty that needs to be carried by everyone. If it is the government, the organizations, if they want to help men, let them give men what men want.
Yep.
Not what they want. If they're trying to curb issues with men using drugs, we need to first verify, why are they using drugs? Because if they had employment, if they had centers they can spend, if the youth had centers they can spend their time there, if they had places, I know these people are very creative, if they had places they can channel their creativity to and it is paying them, I know it will help. It will go, it might not curb the entire thing, but it will help. It will go a long way in helping that. If they can build centers where maybe it is rugby pitch, football pitch, rugby courts, what do they call those, table tennis, indoor games, where men can just go, even if they're just not men, where the youth can just go and be themselves, art centers where they can go, be creative, be themselves, and as they do that, can it have a source of income? Can it help them? I think it will go a long way.
Yeah, I think that is true, and that brings to the conversation why it is alleged that most young people in the coastal region have been, they have been affected by drugs, and that is the reason why we are seeing the governors trying to ban the use of muguka. And we need to start from the biggest question and let us find the root cause.
Yes.
Why are these young men? And I heard a Mombasa governor, saying that we have people who start chewing muguka immediately it enters Mombasa, like in the morning at 6 a.m. and they do that throughout the day. So why are they doing that? I think the biggest problem young people are having in Kenya is unemployment.
Yes.
And we cannot run away from that problem. And it is this unemployment that is giving men, and you see most of the men, you see it is actually more difficult for a man to get employment in Kenya. And because the opportunities are very limited, and even when they get employment, it is not meaningful. It is not something sustainable. It is just like you can go to Mujengo. Yes, yeah, you can go to Mujengo and get 500 shillings, and then it cannot solve all the problems. So it leaves you like, so most of these young people who are chewing miraa and muguka, why are they doing so? It is because they are not been meaningfully engaged especially in nation building. They do not have jobs.
Yes.
Most of them, most of these young people went to school, but they can't find jobs. What the government should do, if they are banning miraa is okay, banning muguka is fine. I mean, that one is just a preventive measure but how can we try to end these once and for all?
And even those that are uneducated, maybe those that just go to class 8, if we're encouraging them to go to vocational institutes,
Exactly.
you see, like if they're investing in county polytechnics, there needs to be an impact that if you go to that vocational institute, it's a county institute, the county is going to absorb you. If you are building roads, if you are having those contractor jobs, they need to be giving those jobs. You cannot be telling someone that go to school, and it is a cause of mental health. Like, you cannot tell someone go to school, then they go to school, and when they are finished with school, when they're done with school, there's no job.
Yeah.
So they'll be sitting at home, they're stressed. So if the biggest problem is just unemployment, they might be having the skills, they might be equipped, but if there's no employment, then, and if they're not teaching them how to be creative, you see, if they're not tapping into those, someone can be creative, but they do not know how to nurture that.
Exactly.
So if there's a way to nurture that creativity in school, and someone does not need to be employed in they do not need to have white collar jobs. You see, you can be a welder and you're making money. You can be a carpenter, you can be a plumber, you can be doing what they call those planting trees, setting up beautiful gardens. You can do that and you're earning some money. So you should not just be aiming for the white collar jobs. Who is going to cook for us? You can be a great chef.
Now, I have a question. You mentioned about you supporting the ban on Muguka. Do you think banning is the solution? Because if you're banning it, someone can access it illegally, or someone can access an alternative to that.
Yes.
An alternative drug that is what he's feeling. You see, so you're not providing a solution.
Yeah, that is true. I think we need to understand the context of ban. The banning of Muguka in coastal regions is not a ban on the use. It is actually on the ban on transportation entry into the counties, and like they have not banned the use of Muguka because still Muguka is still a legal drug in Kenya.
Yeah.
But my problem is they have banned Muguka entering coastal region, but they have not banned it entering
Other
western
regions.
region. They have not banned it entering Nairobi. They have not banned it entering other regions. So it means while they might have denied Muguka a market in coast, what happens to western? Where will that Muguka that was coming from Meru and Embu go? It will eventually find itself in other regions, which are either western, and of course, we might have this problem now in future, in the next few years.
Yeah, so it's like transporting
Exactly.
a problem to another region. And then you'll start solving it again. Then you will ban.
Exactly.
And you're transporting it to another region.
Yes. What we need to do as a country on banning Muguka, we just need to, I think this need to be a national discourse. Let us have a national conversation.
Yes.
We all agree that Muguka has some chemicals that affect young people and affect people as a whole, their health. But as a country, what can we do? Of course, it is also still an economical problem if you ban it altogether, because there are regions that will not be able to feed their children because that is their main. So, are you giving them an alternative before you actually totally want to ban it?
Yes.
So, I think it is a conversation. It's a very wide conversation, and I guess it might end up in a national discourse. But of course, it is a conversation that will be, as young people, will want to engage in, so that because it is attributed to some of the issues we are having about mental health, and it is the biggest drug that is being used right now actually in Kenya.
And
It is the
it's
most
being used
popular
by young people.
And the most affected are men.
Exactly. Actually, I have not seen so many women chew that. Very many people who chew this
The most
Muguka
affected
are
are
men,
men.
and these are the people you find lining up on the street, around 80 of them, and everybody is in there with their small pack of groundnuts and that Muguka.
And they'll be there the entire
And
day.
we have even internalized and tried to make it feel better by having stories ajaba, and people are making jokes around them, like story ajaba, and it sounds funny, but eventually we are actually promoting something that we need to stop.
Yeah.
As we wind up, we are at a point where people are embracing men opening up, men going to therapy, men are also embracing their mental health. So, what is that one thing you can tell men out there? Please tell them to accept hugs and to give hugs. Tell them it is not being gay.
Yeah, I think fellow men, it is very, very important to accept that we have problems sometimes in our lives. It is also important to accept that sometimes we might not be having solutions to those problems. And it is also very important to accept that you have to tell someone a problem, and they always say a problem shared is half solved.
Yes.
And I think that is a solution.
Yeah.
That is one of the solutions you can have. And we also pleading with fellow men and women and other people who can just offer a good space, like a space that does not judge men when they come out to talk about mental issues. We also we also trying to talk to. I think the government has also a role to play. They need to ensure that we have these mental health centers, even to the deepest villages,
Yes.
where young people can just be going and express themselves. If you just took out a group of 10 men and told them to share their story in a space where they actually nobody is seeing them, and I can assure you, like you'll hear a lot of issues that you never knew existed, and men can be able to share. The church and of course the church has also a very big role to play. The boys who are coming to church, the men who are coming to church, how are you? We have these men organizations, like in my church we have the men, the Catholic Men Association, we have all those kinds of organizations, even in other churches, the youth. How are you as a church trying to help, because the church plays a very big role in terms of trying to shape what the mind and trying to actually address some of the issues. And if a man feels more comfortable in the church, then it is true that he might be able to share in the church than he might share in a bar. But if a man is more comfortable, feels comfortable in the bar, let us address them the issues from there, where they feel more comfortable. If they can talk like about issues when they are drunk, then be there to help when they are in that state where they can express themselves better. While we do not try to tell them to be drunk so that they can speak out, we also try to say experts in the government, let them help men from where they are. You don't have to, me going to hospital to seek help might be a problem. I mean, like I have to walk from my house because we don't tend to think this is sickness. We don't tend to think this is something that can warrant me to just get out of my house with my NHIF or my insurance to go to hospital, pang a line, give all that process of the hospital because you want to actually be
To talk to someone.
You see, they need to create a scenario where when you're having such an issue which is not physical, which does not show anywhere, like it does not hurt you to actually wake up and go to hospital, but of course eventually it is killing you.
Yes.
You can be able to go and express yourself without having to do a lot of bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And also, men tend to think, not just men, everyone tend to think therapy is expensive. Why is therapy expensive anyways? Why is therapy expensive? Because you see, if the government and the society is trying to help everyone speak out, just not men, women included, they need to provide more awareness. In those public hospitals, they need to be those people they can speak to. They need to be readily available there. You cannot have one very big hospital with just one person everyone wants to talk to. They need to have those people they can access, just not in hospitals alone, in schools,
Yes, yeah.
They need to have people they can talk to. Yeah, and that will be great. That is going to help us as men, and we need to embrace that talking just as a society, the entire, from the family, it begins at home. The remedy of all this. And also when we are building those rehabilitation centers where women can run to, can we make them conducive even for men?
Yes.
It should not be a woman thing.
Some men are facing GBV.
Men are also facing GBV. They need to have somewhere to run to. There are women who beat men mercilessly.
Yeah.
Men also have men are also people. They also get bruised. They can also bleed. They need to have somewhere they can also run to. So when we are building those, those rehabilitation centers, let them be friendly to even men. Let them be friendly to everyone. Also, when we are coming up with organizations, I love what the second lady Dorcas is doing with boys, in central Kenya. I think we should not politicize it. It is something other women leaders should also embrace. It is something women in leadership can also do. We should not just, we cannot talk about empowering women and leave out boys. Where are these boys going to go to? They will end up harassing these women because they will feel left out. If we are empowering a society, we need to stop saying that empowering women is empowering a society. No, we need to empower them both. So they all grow up feeling empowered, right? That way we will reduce those cases of drug abuse, someone feeling favored more than the other. And this entire problem, it just goes back at home. It goes back at home. That is where the problem is. So if we can lay structures that will help everyone talk freely, if someone wants help, they can just ask for it. I think that will go a long way helping.
Yeah, and I think I also want to support her that we need to start having these professionals and therapists even in schools.
Yes.
Even in universities.
Yes.
Of course, we have these departments that most of the time they're not functional.
They're not enough.
They're not enough. You see, when you're like in a high school, you'll find there's a G&C department, but the G&C department has teachers.
The teachers are not professionals.
They are not professionals. What if they are the ones causing actually the problem?
Exactly.
You cannot go to talk to a perpetrator or someone
About your
about your
problem.
problem.
Yeah.
So you cannot. So I think the government should also, among the teachers as staffs of the schools,
Mhm.
we need to start having people who can help mental health.
Maybe
Yes.
just start by one professional
One
therapist.
profession, yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Exactly.
in schools. Let
Yes.
us train as many. Let us actually. It will go a long way because it will also make these boys and girls coming out of school be ready to actually give out themselves to someone else when they have actually grown up. And you see, it is, most of the time it starts in adulthood,
Mhm.
while the childhood affects, but it always sprouts when someone is now an adult.
Yeah.
And also parents back home and teachers, let us just be good to children.
Yes.
Let us just be talk to people nicely. Let us just talk to children nicely. Don't shut children down. Let us be good parents. Let us be good teachers. Don't shut your students down when they have a problem. Don't pretend like you see, even pastors in church, Sunday school teachers. You see, this is an all round. It requires all of us.
Responsibility.
Yes, it's an effort that not one sector can actually manage. So while we are talking about boys, because it's at boys' months, I think it is very important that even the churches have this conversation about
Yes.
men with boys,
Mhm.
with young people, young men, and also the parents can also take a responsibility in actually talking to the men. It is easier, like just go out with your boy, to try to have a conversation with them, know how they are doing, try to interrogate how you see, you will be able to realize that there are issues and things they might like, or maybe
Yes.
they don't like,
Mhm.
and they're happening in their life.
And when having those conversations, talk to them as a child. Stop
Yes.
talking to your boys as men. Treat them as children. It starts from when they are young. Just let them be children. Let them express themselves. Let them know I can trust my mama. Let them know I can talk to mommy. I can talk to my sister.
Yeah.
Let them be children. Let them be human beings. Stop treating them as robots, very strong people. No, just let them be children.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. I don't know if you have closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Corazone, for this conversation. I'm happy that this conversation is being propagated by women. I think that it is so nice, and of course I expect more men in such a panel so that we can be able to share our experiences and of course be able to talk to men because men tend, of course, listen to more men than they would. But I'm glad that my fellow panelists has been able to actually break down some of the issues from a women perspective. And so I think going forward, we need this conversation going. This not should be the last conversation. Let us talk to men out of the room. When we get a chance to talk to a man, please today, and please ensure you give at least 5 men a hug.
I will. Claire,
Yeah.
a word for our men.
A word for men. My word is just talk. Learn to speak. Just learn to talk. It's something you can learn. Just learn to speak out. If you need help, seek help. If you want help, you need to speak out. Just learn to speak. That is just, I will emphasize on that. You need to speak out. You want help, just speak out, ask for it. And women, we need to create conducive environments for men to speak out. Sati mtu anashare, someone is sharing their story and then you mark it. In 2027, when they tell you something and then you have to remind them, kama vile ulifanya nini, unakumbuka, you are a weak man.
You tell them you're projecting.
Imagine mtu ameibiwa. Yes, amana mtu ameibiwa kwa biashara and then you're their wife. They trust you. They tell you, aki nimeibiwa huko kwa biz. And then you're just listening. At that moment, you're an angel. You are listening to them. You're sympathizing with them. And then in 2023, not in 2032, you remind them, when mjinga ndo maana uliibiwa. We need to stop doing that, women. I will encourage women, please, 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 women, create a more conducive environment. Let these human beings trust you. Let them be able to trust you. Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, dear viewers. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, this is not the end of this conversation. It is just the beginning. Remember to give your feedback. Remember to stay tuned for the next episode. I have been your host, Kunyobo Corazone. Bye.